Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
We on 2?
Yep.
Clayton scoops the rebound, saves it to help. He'll dribble it out. And for the 4th time in school history, and the first since 2007, it's a Florida final. The Gators win it 79-73. They'll play in the national championship game on Monday night.
How about that weekend, sports fans? That's what it's all about. Good afternoon. Daily Ticket with you here. Sean Brace and Sam Oshtry from The Score. It's a big one. We got ourselves a Natty. It all comes down to this. 2 teams remaining. Of course, national championship that will be discussed every which way over these next few hours on this program. Big weekend of sports. Sam, as you just heard, of course, Florida with the big-time dub over Auburn down there in San Antonio. All eyes on that matchup, getting the party started on Saturday at about 6:09 p.m. And boy, did that deliver, of course. Talking about delivering. We're talking about the Titans taking 2 of 3 against the L.A. Dodgers, handing Shohei and that overpaid ball club from Los Angeles their first 2 losses of the season. That was fun. And we got a lot going on as far as the golf world is concerned. And let's not forget about the NBA. Pretty big.
Massive week in the NBA.
Massive week, but pretty big result last night for the people that want a little storyline or two to raise up. And I think we got that with the Lakers last night in their win over Oklahoma City. But Sam, great to have you on this national championship Monday. How we been? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. It's great to be back with you. It's a packed weekend and week in sports. Like this is the best time of year. I'm not the biggest golf guy, like casual golf guy, but Masters week. We had an incredible weekend. I'm definitely not a hockey guy. Yeah, play the Masters music.
Oh yeah.
Hello, friends.
Yes. Oh yeah, can't forget about the hockey because
I'm not the biggest hockey guy, but like that's pretty cool that Ovechkin broke the all-time goal score record. So packed weekend in sports. We got a Natty championship tonight. Things are heating up in the NBA. That West race is crazy. We're going to talk about it all.
Yes, let's get to it. Of course, you can find us on social streaming on every outlet possible. So go ahead and give us a follow, subscribe, and tell a friend. Oh, by the way, iHeartRadio has a wonderful new app. You can set a preset. You can set these presets, and I'll tell you what, it reminds you, and you come back a little bit more. So I'd love if you would put the Gambler on your presets. We'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the course of the week as well. But of course, as I said, let's get it started. Big one over the weekend. You just heard the final call there, courtesy of the Florida Gators Radio Network. I'm not sure if that lovely, talented young reporter who's making an unbelievable name for herself is part of that crew.
She deserves whatever job she wants, all right? She doesn't have to fill out any applications.
We are going to get in some minutia conversation because there was a lot of it over the weekend, including
I'm sure it was.
The Dream not being able to celebrate with Houston out there. Oh, my goodness. Anyways, Florida and Auburn got the party started at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Final score 79-73. Where do we start with this one other than Walter Clayton Jr.?
He's a bad man.
Clayton is matched up against Cardwell. He likes this matchup against the big man. Blows by him down the right side of the lane. And an uncontested finger roll for 2. 71-68.
All I know is that dude is so smooth and fast. So fast with the rock in his hands. And he gets downhill in a hurry. But he's got some curry in him from the shooting perspective. We talked about that heave he had against Texas Tech, where he gets the ball and it runs it out to the 3-point line. He had a bunch of those in the game against Auburn, Sam. This dude is making an unbelievable name for himself. And I know you had a take on the timeline earlier today, but I do believe, like, if you really want to get down to it, somebody can improve their draft stock. I'm not going to get too crazy like some people were on the timeline, but you saw on Saturday night the mock drafts 25 at the highest, from as far as him being selected, 25th overall. There were two of them that had him mock draft in the second round. Oh, no. If he has himself a game, no matter what, I still think he's going in the first round. But if he has himself a game tonight, Sam, watch out. Like, we could be talking about a 10, 11, and 12.
We're talking about a guy who wasn't projected first or second round. Like, not even, forget the first round, first or second round at the start of this tournament. ESPN did their mock draft March 13th, before this tournament started. He wasn't projected in the first or second round. How he's played himself into a first rounder, I don't think he's a lottery guy necessarily, and his NBA projection versus what he's doing in college basketball are two different things. But he's definitely played himself into the first round, probably towards the late first round, which is pretty remarkable in this March run. I don't think when you're a couple months removed and the draft approaches, I think teams distance themselves from crazy March runs. But what he's doing and playing himself into a first rounder is remarkable. And like this Walter Clayton Jr., he might be one of the best tough shot makers in college basketball history. I mean, you talk about the all-time great shot makers, shooters, whatever. A guy that might come to mind is someone like Jimmer Fredette, who just went on an incredible run at BYU, an awesome March run. But that was range. That was distance. That Jimmer Fredette, he could pull up from 40 feet, from just in front of half court and drill threes. We're not talking about Walter Clayton's range necessarily. We're talking about an incredible, difficult shot maker. I mean, these shots that he's been drilling against Texas Tech, and he really goes back to the SEC tournament and SEC play all season, but especially against Texas Tech in this tournament and then against Auburn. These are off-balance shots. These are contested shots. I mean, they're not giving him an inch of room. It's not like these are open shots, and he's just drilling them. You see like guys like Jamal Murray or Steph Curry, who are constantly off balance and making off balance contested shots. This is one of the most impressive shot making feats I've seen in March in a long time.
I agree. Definitely made a huge name for himself. And as I said, I just think this game could be really important. Of course, putting the team perspective aside for just 1 second. Like, this dude continues to open up eyes and a hand in the air. He's becoming a household name, right? Like, I had no idea that he was with Iona and Ricky Pitino up there.
Rick Pitino wanted him badly to transfer to St. John's. Bad for a reason, for good reason.
Wow.
And look, he ended up at Florida. Probably the right call.
Yeah. What happens if he did end up at St. John's, though?
They might be playing tonight.
Yeah, they're probably playing. Yeah, he is the real damn deal, but he's going to have to do a lot tonight. Again, from the Auburn perspective, your big takeaway there, 79-73 was our final score. Kind of got a little out of hand in the final couple minutes, and Auburn made a little bit of a ball game out of it. But for the most part, that was Florida's game. And in the first half, Florida didn't have an answer on the size down low. And I just figured if you continue to pound the rock down low, you're going to have success in that second half. But I guess a strength for Florida is the clutch. Like, we know what's coming in the second half, and it's easier said than done. But they did it again, where it was like, all right out the chute in the second half. As soon as that ball got inbounded, it started going on a run, and next thing you know, they took the lead, and it felt like they never looked back. I think they were going back and forth a little bit there, but ultimately they were the better team in that second half. And I don't know if I was surprised, but I thought that Auburn was going to be a little bit closer. I thought it was going to be a little bit tighter at the end of the game.
I thought Auburn was going to win. I thought Auburn looked like the better team for most of that first half.
Really?
They're up 8 going into halftime.
I agree.
And the story for me is I do want to get to Florida's clutch stats and their clutch performance because they've been so resilient all year, especially with a coach that hadn't won an NCAA tournament game going into the season. So that's one thing. The story for me of this game was Janai Broome. And he just completely no-showed, completely disappeared in the second half. 3 points in the second half. Didn't score a single point after 15 minutes left in the second half. When your best player, I mean, Auburn has great guards. We know their guard depth. When your best player, the guy you run a lot through, just completely disappears and no-shows. And, it looked like his elbow was bothering him. Who knows how much that really contributed to the performance or not. He just no-showed. right? Like he was pretty bad in that second half. And when your best player, the guy you run a lot through, isn't performing and isn't really showing up at all. And there's a couple of rebounds too. He looked like he didn't even have his normal jump and energy and physicality on the boards, where Florida just out-toughed him in that second half. And so it was a Janai Broom thing for me. When your best player doesn't show up in the second half, you're going to have a tough time winning the game. And Florida just dominated in the second half. They won that half 41-27. And now Florida's playing for a national championship.
Yeah. And good game. Really good game. Of course, back and forth. It did stay under the total. Florida covered the 2.5. And, look, it got into the point where it was like, man, that they're going to play some defense and it will tighten up. And if you go through a 2 to 3 to 4 minute stretch where it's just it's difficult to get a basket and things slow down just a little bit, it's going to be really tough to get to that 160 mark. That was my POA.
Yeah.
And it played out.
And this Florida team, and this is what's so intriguing about this matchup tonight, because Houston and Florida have both been so clutch. But this Florida team is beyond clutch. True shooting percentage, they shoot 78% in the clutch. That's number one in the entire country. So they're taking incredibly good, efficient shots and making them at a high rate. And then the turnover percentage is also number one in the country. So when you offensively, you're not turning the ball over and you're shooting efficient shots and you're making them at a high rate, it's really hard to beat a team like that when they're that good in the clutch. And look, that speaks to the resiliency as a group. They have great guards, Elijah Martin, Will Richard, and of course, Walter Clayton, great bigs. And one of a great move, speaking of their bigs, by Todd Golden, one of the adjustments he made was benching Alex Condon in that first half for a long stretch because he could not handle Janai Broom initially in that first half, and he was getting outmatched in the post. You bench him, take him out, and that kind of opened up Florida a lot. And they kind of made a run in that second half. So that was a great adjustment from them. But when they're that clutch and they're that great in terms of their efficiency on offense in the clutch, it's almost impossible to beat a team like that.
Yeah. All right. We got Sam Oshtry from The Score. We're hanging out. We got Luke Arcani. He's going to join us at 3:30. Of course, we got to talk about them fightings and what took place over the weekend. Take it 2-3 against LA. Great series coming up against the
We can
Braves.
talk baseball, but you do realize there was another game.
Also,
it wasn't just one game on Saturday night. Did you know that?
Also, the Masters.
The Masters
Going on this weekend.
Oh, hockey. It's golf?
Wait, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
But I was trying to tell you, golf, hockey, I get if you were distracted. Baseball, big week from the Phillies, but there was another game that tipped off right after that Florida-Auburn game. Have you heard of the Duke Blue Devils? Have you heard of Cooper Flagg? Have you heard of John Shire?
Are you sure there was another game?
I'm pretty sure. I may have to check the calendar, but I'm pretty sure.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, I mean, no one was really talking about it, so nothing really happened.
What happened in that game?
Honestly, nothing interesting. Like Duke was up 6 with a minute left, so you probably know what happened, right? If Duke's up 6 with a minute left, I mean,
they win that game.
Yeah, of course, 100 times out of 100, or 99 times out of 100, and we witnessed the one.
What in the hell?
Really don't give a.
Thank you, JJ. Yeah, what happened, man? I just, for those that maybe don't know, I had a future on Duke.
Yeah.
And I felt Duke was going to win the national championship.
As did I.
And Duke was up by 14.
Yep.
They were the better team.
Yep.
They had the better player.
They did.
And then all of a sudden, everything just unraveled.
Yeah.
And it happened.
It sure did. Yeah. I
was watching that game, and there were people in the house that had total 70 for Duke. And it was like 58, 59. It was 11 points. That's what it was. But they had to get to 70 and a half, so whatever. Anyways, I'm like, 70. I'm like, they got 11 points. I think it was like 10 minutes to go. I'm not lying to you. I think it was 10.
Well, they had one field goal in the last 10 and a half minutes.
So I think it was 10 minutes to go, needed 11 points. And I'm like, yeah, you look good.
Beyond good. Great.
Yeah, I'm like,
you look great.
It looks like it's going to be a winner. They finished with 67.
Yep. The lowest point total since January 25th when Wake Forest held them to 63 somehow. No one else had done that. And look, it was a matchup between the best defense versus the best offense. And the best defense prevailed. I'll tell you, so Saturday was my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
So, thank you. So I had some friends from out of town, and we were going out. So there was this, I share a birthday with this girl who I know, so it was a whole big event. at this rented out place. Of course, TV was the Final Four. So we're watching that game on the TV.
Thanks
But
for the info.
I couldn't really.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I should have told you to pull up.
Jeez.
I should have.
Gambler, we didn't even know it was your birthday.
I don't publicize my birthday. I'm not a big birthday guy, honestly. Really
How
not.
could you
shouldn't.
not a big birthday
I'll tell you
guy?
why. You shouldn't be celebrated for just turning an age, right? You should be celebrated when you accomplish something. I'm really anti my birthday. My friends
Birthdays
came.
come around once a year.
Exactly.
If
You just turned another age. You
if
just
you-
got a little older.
Don't celebrate birthdays. It means you're dead.
Yeah.
Like, you got to celebrate birthdays.
Yes, but I'm just not like everyone has them. It happens once a year.
Yes.
It's nothing. You didn't accomplish anything. You just turned another age, and another day came around. So I'm anti-birthday. So I didn't really want to do something, but this girl had an event, so I said you can do the event if it's just your birthday. But some friends came, so it was a small thing. We watched the Final Four. That's why I'm anti-birthdays. I didn't really want people to know. I didn't need to publicize it.
All right.
But I would have loved for you to be there regardless. So we were watching, and I couldn't really like conceptualize what was going on in like real time. Like it was like, how did this happen?
Yep.
How did Duke possibly blow this? And then I watched it back the next morning again and again and again, and I still have no idea how Duke collapsed. One of the worst collapses we've seen in college basketball. I mean, up 9 with 2 minutes to go, up 6 with a minute left. It was an avalanche of hell. Just everything that could go wrong did go wrong, from blow-bys, blown inbound passes, when they weren't even properly, the screen quality was horrible. They weren't cutting to get open. Missed box outs, guys coming in from the weak side, just Houston killing them on those offensive rebounds. Bad officiating, missed free throws, everything that went wrong for Duke did go wrong. Just an all-time collapse.
It just, you can't allow me to have happiness, because I had Florida, and that was a tough battle, and I was going up against half the people in our Gambler gang, and it's just like, man, like, all right. And then all of a sudden, double digit Duke, and it's like, yes, this is happening. I'm seeing it. The vision is there. Boom, I knew Duke was going to get this job done, and it's not over yet, but they're going to win, and they're going to be playing in a national championship, and I predicted that. And oh, by the way, dude, I fired on first half full time for Florida and Auburn. Had Auburn at the half. I was plus 550.
Wow.
I had the exact matchup of plus 235 for Florida versus Duke in the national championship. So
everything was on the Duke.
Everything was on Duke. I had the 12-1 with Duke, which was $50 or $600 there, 6-1. Like, I had so much invested in just Duke, and it fell apart. And it didn't feel real. Like, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm going, they're going to win this game. They're not covering the 4.5. I put that this. I didn't really care. I was invested a little bit in the spread, but everything else was already there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way they're going to lose this game. And the next thing you know, the foul happens. He goes down there and makes both 64% free throw shooter. He makes both of them in the Alamo Dome. And I just like, all right. And then all of a sudden, like, you draw up that play. Cooper has made that play 100 times this year, and he comes up short there. It was a disaster, and it happened fast. Now, there were people, specifically you, that were saying, dude, the thing about Shire and Golden, they haven't played in a Final Four before. It's like Sampson has.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can say that you don't need to make a big deal about that, but if you need somebody to make a big play or call something at the right time, you have to give the advantage to Sampson. You have to.
Yeah, and look, John Shire's big mistake was keeping Sion James as the inbounder. He was so nervous inbounding the ball. And you saw a couple times.
The whole team looked nervous.
Yeah, they did. And you saw a couple times, it was just like, if your inbounder's nervous, that's really the most important player.
People were saying
on
Cooper
that play.
Cooper inbound.
Or just anyone who you feel confident in. Well, once you see that he's nervous, you got to pull him from it being the inbounder. He cannot inbound again because it just he was shaking out there as the inbounder, and that's the most important person in an inbound is the inbounder. So I didn't like that from Shire. I don't know. It wasn't like a poorly coached game. But you got to give credit to Houston's resiliency and their toughness, their grit, their resiliency. Duke collapsed for sure with the missed free throws, poor box outs, bad calls, all that stuff. But Houston's defense just kept coming and coming and coming. Duke did not make a field goal in the last 10 or had one field goal in the last 10 and a half minutes.
Yep.
Like, that is so impressive against the number one offense in the country. You know what the most impressive thing about Houston was in terms of their coaching and in that final minute? A minute ago, Houston's down 6. They don't foul. They're playing that defensive possession all out. That is so rare from a coach. You'll always see coaches foul in that situation because you're down 6 with a minute left. You have pretty much no shot. You're going to foul in that situation. You're going to extend the game by stopping the clock, and you're going to force the other team to make free throws. Kids making free throws, a lot of times that goes wrong. Kelvin Sampson said, I'm not doing that. We're playing this out. We are confident. We have seen Duke. We see how tight they are right now. Their offense is not in a flow. We're playing this defensive possession out. We're getting stops. We're getting scores, and we're going to come out with a win. And that's what they did. And that is balls of steel coaching by Kelvin Sampson, and he deserves all the credit for that. So I was really impressed with they've shown it all year, but the resiliency, their toughness, and just their defense.
How about the technical foul on the kid that reached in?
Swiped in.
And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
There it is. That's the game. And I felt bad for the kid.
Yeah.
It was only, I thought for a second that it was more than just what they had, though, because it was only one extra free throw. They already had the possession. So I thought you got 2 shots in the possession, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I think it put them up by 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it did.
And I was just like, that's it. That's game. And I felt bad for the kid. I'm like, Duke's going to win. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it just happened. It was just over.
In a blink of an eye.
Next thing, Duke is going home. And they don't even win. They don't advance. They don't cover the number. John Shire is like, I'm proud of my guys. Bull. I just was losing my mind.
Yeah. I think
gambling is so hard.
It is.
It's so hard.
It is. I think everyone after seeing Duke, Alabama was all over Duke. Like, this team is just too talented. Like, 3 top 10 picks that they have, and they're too talented to lose. And I think what a lot of us miscalculated was the freshmen and the inexperience, which completely showed up. And I miscalculated because what I was saying was this freshman class is so good and so mature that they don't play like freshmen, and they haven't. In that Alabama game, they sure didn't play like freshmen. But in a situation like that, Cooper Flagg, he wasn't bad down the stretch, but he sure wasn't good. He was
killing 2 players.
But then you get in the clutch.
Yeah.
And that's when your palms get a little sweatier and you're like, all right, do you have experience in these moments? And Cooper Flagg, Concanipple, those guys didn't. But I will say, the veteran that we talk about all the time is Tyrese Proctor. And it's like, all right, you have the veteran presence with him. He goes to the line, 68% free throw shooter, nothing amazing. Goes to the line, clank on a front end of a 1-on-1. Yeah, that's the guy you're supposed to rely on. But nothing went Duke's way.
The big man, non-existent the whole night.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't pull down a rebound.
Yeah. Offensively and offensively.
He didn't pull down a single. Yeah. How are you that big of a human being and you're not able to pull down a rebound? Yeah. Like it transitions smoothly over to tonight's game, and we're definitely going to be all over that one. Again, right now, DraftKings is Florida point favorite, 140.5 is our total in here. Just more focused on that, just disaster of an ending for Duke. Here's head coach John Shire on what exactly went wrong. Q&A.
Well, it's hard to process still, and I thought our guys did an incredible job the whole game, and I thought we had some good looks. Didn't finish. You have to give Houston a ton of credit, and then still, even with that, we have the lead. With under a minute to go, and I couldn't be more proud. I'm not about to hang our head. I mean, this is part of it. You gotta handle the wins, and you gotta handle the losses too. And in a moment like this, we're this close, and we felt we were the best team. The best team tonight was Houston.
I get it. He's not going to be able to say anything different after that. But man, that's just a tough way to go out.
These are one of these.
Remember, all those Duke players were there, former on. Like, that's just.
Coach K was there. It was the first NCAA tournament game.
Everybody was there that represented Duke, and now you got to go face them on what just exactly and how that played out.
It's one of those games that could stay with John Shire for a long time.
Absolutely.
Like, this is such a collapse, and just a pathetic collapse where it's, you can really only look at the coach. I don't think John Shire made egregious mistakes other than the keeping James as the inbounder, but it's still one of those losses where if we're like 3, 4, 5 years down the line and he hasn't won a national championship, and look, it's really hard to win a national championship, but Coach K won 5 of them, and John Shire has been phenomenal. I mean, everything you could have wanted in a guy replacing the guy in Coach K. So it's not any diss on him. But if we're 5, 6 years down the line And he hasn't won anything huge as really in a national title, and maybe doesn't even go to the Final Four again. You're looking at where things could start heating up for him, which he's a phenomenal coach. I don't expect that to happen. I think they'll respond, and they have a great freshman class coming in, and Duke will always be able to reload. But this could be one of those things where it's like, is John Shire this guy that just can't get it done in the biggest moments, choking some of these moments away?
Well, everything is on the table at this point in time. Well, I do want to say this, from the doom and gloom to the fact that, what a Final Four.
Yeah.
For all you people out there that were so negative about the tournament, what a Final Four. Both of those games delivered, and I took one on the chin in a bad way.
Forget the Cinderellas.
Those Miller Lights were going down really easy at the end of the night on Saturday night. I was so mad, so upset, and I didn't really have anything energy-wise. It just was like so deflated, and what just took place.
If you hadn't broke your sober streak,
that would have made me.
that would have. That would have been the night that it pushed you to the edge.
That would have got me right back at the table. All right. Well, again, we got ourselves a natty tonight. We'll talk a little bit later about the game itself, break it down. How confident are you in your selection, Sam, for tonight's game?
Pretty confident, but look, I was on Auburn and Duke, so I'm really. What am I confident in, really? But I think Houston's going to win the game. I thought Houston-Duke was the finals. I thought the winner of that game was going to win it, and I expected it to be Duke. But look, it's a 1.5-point spread for a reason. It's going to be a really close matchup. Two incredibly clutch teams that have just been phenomenal in the final 5 minutes of games. So I think it's going to be a back-and-forth, electric finish, and that's what we get, and that's what we deserve.
All right, we'll talk more about that game coming up a little bit later in the show, but let's get it over to baseball.
Let's do it. The Fightins.
Arcane is going to join us on the other side as the Phillies handed the Dodgers 2 out of 3 losses there. First time all season that the Dodgers lost a game, and it was a fun series. Just it's such a long season, but when you get these little patches, you got to enjoy them. And I thought Citizens Bank Park was rocking. Of course, Friday was a fun game with Apple TV. We'll talk a little bit more about that broadcast, and then finding a way to win a game where a bunch of runs were scored yesterday. Not everything is all positive, though, as always with the Phillies. But when you win 2 of 3 against the best team in baseball, you're not going to hear me saying a negative word today. That's for damn sure. Luke Arcani might, though. He's going to join us on the other side. We'll find out his thoughts about the Fightins, a little MLB catch-up, and the Daily Ticket rolls on. Sam Oshtry from The Score with me, full show. Don't go anywhere. More after this.
Spring is in the air, and it's time to swing for the fences. Our MLB coverage is bringing heat all season long.
Everybody moves up 90 feet.
Be sure to catch Luke Arcani and Sean Brace on the Daily Ticket. Only one place that covers all the action. It's The Gambler. Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
We're down the Schuylkill Westbound University to Board and City to Belmont, eastbound, so Conchuck to Belmont, and Montgomery Drive to South. Find Expressway tied up both ways. Schuylkill Broad, 95 northbound back to Allegheny the Bridge. To tell a total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Discover.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL again for the latest CEOs you should know. Sheree McCrae, CEO of Foundation Academies. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head, and the total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Here's comedian Howard Goodell for hands-free Cozy Fit Skechers Slip-ins.
Yeah, I'm holding a new Cozy Fit Skechers Slip-In sneaker, and first of all, I barely know I'm holding it. It's that light. You see, Cozy Fit is a cool new sneaker where the upper is made of a soft quilted material. It's kind of like a little puffer jacket for your feet, except it looks like a super stylish sneaker.
Introducing new Cozy Fit Skechers slippers, the latest comfort creation from Skechers. You can find Cozy Fit Skechers slippers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Are your money skills total trash? Well, you are not alone. Personal finance ignorance is as American as apple pie. But don't fret. The How to Money podcast is here to help you improve. Think, Matt, if your emergency fund was invested, especially given the volatility we're experiencing right now. Ouchie. Investing, it is ultimately a necessity, but you got to keep that emergency fund accessible. It needs to be cash parked in your savings. It's time to increase your money knowledge. And the How to Money podcast is here to bring the wisdom. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search How to Money, and start listening today.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get Top Dog for your accident at TopDogLaw.com. Once again, that's TopDogLaw.com.
Vesia deals at the pitch. Blasted high and deep left field, and that is gone. Castellanos greets Vesia with his 8th career grand slam, and it's a 6-2 Phillies lead.
What a sight that was, man. That was a blast as Casty went yard at Citizens Bank Park. Of course,
Philadelphia Phillies Radio Network there. We got Luke Arcani joining us right now via the Gambler stream, and the Fightins were able to hang on last night, 8-7 victory. They took 2 of 3 over the best team in baseball. I don't know if you guys have actually heard, the Dodgers actually won the World Series this year. The Phillies just took 2 of 3 against the 2025 World Series champion LA Dodgers. Luke Arcani, how about that?
Yeah, it's true. There wasn't really a reason to watch any of those games this weekend. They already won because, you know, you look at the power rankings and it's not like I take much into power rankings, but it's almost like the Phillies took 2 or 3 of the Dodgers this weekend and still are behind the Dodgers in the power rankings. But no, doing good. Nice series. Tell you what, I watched a lot of baseball in person the last week, so I need a few nights on my couch this week. But yeah, it was a good week. I'm a little tired. The voice is gone from Saturday a little bit. I can't lie. I had to get all my yelling out on Saturday.
And when you're watching it from the couch, you don't have those pesky poles in front of you.
No poles, no poles on the couch. I'll tell you that.
Love it. Getting some hard time on the timeline. I love it. Good job, though, by Luke Arcani, of course, joins us here. We're going to be, hey, look, once we wrap this up with the national championship, we're going Monday and Thursdays with Luke Arcani to get the party started on the Daily Ticket. Of course, recapping all the action. Where do you want to start, though, Luke? With 3 games, of course, Friday night, big-time dub with Luzardo on the mound. Saturday, of course, didn't work out. 3-1 score. Dodgers able to win there. Nola got to start there. And then yesterday, Sanchez gets to start. Phil's hang on. They win 8-7. Where do you want to start, sir? What was the most impressive thing from the 3-game series against the Dodgers for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think just showing that the Phillies are in this too. And it's not just the Dodgers where we don't have to watch the regular season and they're just going to go on to win everything. I think this was sort of a measuring stick series, I would say, for the Phillies. Just, to see how they can match up. But I think a lot of people going into this series, I don't think a lot of people thought they would win the series. I mean, obviously an 8-0 team heading into Citizens Bank was supposed to be a tough series. And it's not like it was easy. No. But it was 3 competitive, extremely well played baseball games. And yeah, I mean, that first game Friday night was awesome. Luzardo looks incredible right now. He's around like 98 first inning right now. He looks really good. I don't think he got up to 96 in his whole Marlins tenure. And he's sitting right around 97, 98. He looks really good. JT Realmuto is inevitable. No matter what you say about him, if that guy's behind the plate, you have a chance. I mean, he showed that Friday night. I would have liked a little more. I think it added some drama that they had to review it, but man, if he threw Chris Taylor out instantly right there, I think that place would have absolutely exploded. But yeah, so bit of a rough one Saturday. But yesterday was really the game. Yesterday was the one where even in a game where you have a guy like Teoscar Hernandez, who is just a left-handed killer going up against Sanchez. And yeah, Hernandez may own Sanchez, but Sanchez owns Shohei Ohtani. I believe Shohei was 1 for 11 this series. He's now 4 for 21 in his career as a Dodger at Citizens Bank Park with 9 strikeouts. I don't know if this guy has the yips at the bank. I don't know what's going on. But we have Shohei's number right now at the bank. But I think it was just a big series to get a lot of this fan base back in. And not that everybody was completely out. But I think after how you lost last year, and there's a lot of people this offseason where it's just, I don't care. They have to do something better. Just get me to October. Nothing matters. Well, taking 2 of 3 from an 8-0 Dodgers team matters. And yeah, I know it's only April 7th. We have a long ways to go. There's 153 baseball games left before the playoffs start.
When you put it like that,
there's 153. Basically, right now, I believe it sort of matches up to like we're not even through week 1 of the NFL season if you compared it to the NFL season. So there's a lot of time.
That's not going to stop Philadelphia from panicking, though.
Oh,
right?
Not at all. But to see them go out and compete and battle, and it's not just like they went out and beat up on bad starters like they did last year versus the Dodgers. They beat Yamamoto, and they absolutely made Tyler Glasnow spiral yesterday in the 3rd inning. So it was a very competitive series that I think will go a long way for this team and the fan base.
Luke, I think that's a great point where you're saying the fan base is bought in, because I think going into the season, it was like, all right, this team is still very talented. You bring most of the guys back, so everyone's excited about the Phillies. But it wasn't after how the last 2 seasons ended. There wasn't as much excitement because they knew the divisions got a lot better. The Mets got better, even though the Braves are starting out, I believe 1-8 they are right now. They still presumably will be in the race. Yeah. You know the Dodgers coming in with the shortest World Series preseason odds since 2003, and they're stacked with talent. So it's like, all right, like, can this team really compete among the best in the National League? And then you have a series like that where you take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, and especially at home, because you see the bank is back to being electric.
Yeah,
I think that's a great point where it's like people can now realize, all right, this team is good enough to actually compete and win a World Series. Again, we're talking about April baseball here. But I think that still matters for the fan base. Absolutely. With all that said, though, let me ask you something. As a big-time Phillies guy, very casual baseball fan, I'm still watching the NBA over baseball right now, so have it on a second, third TV if I can.
Godspeed.
But let me ask you this, Luke. Why am I seeing so much negativity still? Can you answer that? Or is that just Philadelphia?
People are idiots.
I think, people are idiots. People
What's
are
there to be
idiots
negative about?
because they're not 9-0. That's why people are negative. They're not 9-0, and they won't finish 162-0. No, I think if there was a place to not necessarily be concerned, but maybe start to raise the flag a little bit, I would say it's the bullpen depth, especially with what you're getting right now from Jordan Romano.
Is it Romano or Romano?
I don't know. I don't really know. It's Romano.
Romano.
All right, Jordan Romano.
Matthew Romano is on a different radio station.
All right, you don't know what you're getting from Jordan Romano.
Hey, and I'll tell you what, I do know this much. He stop him with the light introduction, leaving the bullpen if he's going to give us that type of outing. All right,
no more lights for the ninth. Lights are only for the ninth. All right, but no, it's the matter of really what you get from him and what ends up happening there. And once again, if you go 7-2 and you have to say it's early, if you have a bad start from a player, you have to also say it's early there. I don't think the guy's completely cooked, but there's definitely some concerns. Rob Thompson was concerned a bit yesterday with just like the fluctuation in his velocity right now. There's times where he's up to 95 and there's times where he's down to 91. And He's not locating the ball well. He said yesterday that one of his biggest challenges right now is his slider's not working great because his fastball isn't working great. So like if his fastball isn't sitting 96, then there's not that difference with the slider. So that's kind of where they need to check some things out. It seemed like they sent him to the trainers and there wasn't anything wrong. So they don't really know what is up there. That for me, I would say, is really the only sort of concern right now. Everything else is, good. They're 7-2. They have one of the best walk and strikeout rates in the league. What everybody cried and screamed and complained and asked them to do for 6 months in the offseason, they're doing well throughout the first 9 games. They're walking a ton. Max Kepler is on pace for 140-something walks. He's walked 170 times combined in the last 4 years. So that is nice to see. This team's walking a lot. They're getting on base. So not many complaints right now.
I saw their chase rate is really down, best in the MLB, which is awesome to see, because that's something coming off the last 2 seasons that everyone wanted them to work on. Not to keep with the negativity, Luke, but to keep with the negativity. You're right that it's early, but this is a guy I think people wanted to see get off to a fast start early based on how last season ended, and that's Alec Bohm. What's going on with Alec Bohm? He wasn't even in the lineup yesterday in that 8-7 win. What's going on with Alec Bohm?
Women,
should we?
Women, weaken
I wasn't going to go there.
Women, weaken legs, boy.
What's happening with Alec Bohm?
Yeah,
I did scare and don't take the under on 1.5 bases for him.
Had to. It's a lot.
No way. Did you really?
I'm joking.
I was going to say. That'd be crazy.
I think it's like, so is it like in her contract that she like can't bet or she can't announce any Bohm bets? Like it has to be, right? Like there's no way.
All standards have been thrown out the window. We're now giving interviews in locker rooms while we're sitting on players' laps. There's no more standards. Yeah, everything is out the window these days.
All of a sudden, she has under 1.5 bases and he has 4 bats, and he doesn't. And he doesn't swing one pitch all day.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on with Bohm. I think it's a mix of just getting off to a bit of a slow start and a mix of right now, Edmundo Sosa deserves his job.
Hell yeah.
Right now. And that's not really saying the entire season, because I love Edmundo Sosa. He's a great player. I don't think he's a starter on a championship team. I think he's a very, very, very good bench player that can play maybe 3 times a week. I think there's a reason that he probably hasn't gotten a job to play 140, 145 games somewhere. But if you have a guy like Sosa, who's, just crushing the ball right now, that's a guy you have to get in the lineup. And if it comes at the expense of Bohm, who has like a 450 OPS to start the year, then I guess that's probably what you're going to have to do. I will say this, it's not going to be like a Bohm is losing his job outright to Edmundo Sosa. That's not going to happen. I would be shocked if Alec Bohm wasn't in the lineup tomorrow. I will say tomorrow seems like a situation where we could see our first Edmundo Sosa start in center. Pitching matchup versus the Braves is Zach Wheeler versus Chris Sale, 1-2 in Cy Young. That's going to be an awesome one tomorrow night. But that's a game where I think you could see Rob Thompson have Sosa in there because it's a lefty in center. He said yesterday that he's officially at the point where if there's a lefty on the mound, he is willing to start Sosa in center. So maybe that could be that spot and not Marsh out there. As far as the Bohm thing, I think it's just a bit of a mix of a rough start and a really nice one for Edmundo Sosa.
I will say this. We don't know what was true and what's not from last year. And hopefully the attitude that was discussed, I don't know if it was real. He did get pulled in a postseason game. I think that tells you a lot. I think that when there's smoke, there's fire. And with that situation, it could potentially lead to something more if he's not doing the right things behind the scenes. I never got that from him. Like watching him, it seemed like he's a young player that's grown into his own. He's going to struggle. He's going to have his body language from time to time. It is what it is. Now, we just, in that report that came out last year in the postseason, kind of surprised me. So I don't know if there's anything true to that, but it is something to keep our eyes on at this point in time. I believe in Bohm. I think he's a good damn player. I think this is a long season that you need players that can come in and to deliver and that you can count on. Bohm is one of those guys. Sosa right now is one of those guys. It's a good problem to have. Just play the hot hand, get through the damn season, and we'll go from there.
Too, I think the comments from Bryce Harper before the first game are more meaningful than a lot of people think. When he said there's no more daycare. I think that, I don't want to say that was a shot because I don't think that's what it was, but I think that's a comment from Bryce. One, in the back of his head, I think Bryce is starting to realize that he might need to be a bit more of a vocal leader this year instead of sort of leading by example. I feel like the past years, it's been a lot of the vocal stuff, I would say, has maybe leaned towards like Schwarber, JT. But obviously the example part would be Bryce. I think this is the year where you start to see some more vocal stuff out of Bryce. And I think that was really the start. I mean, he came out before the first game of a 162 game season and said there is no daycare anymore. Like these guys are veterans now. Alec Bohm, this is Alec Bohm's like 6th or 7th season. This is Bryson Stott's 4th or 5th season. Like these guys are not kids anymore. They're established players right now on this team. Yeah. And I mean, that's really what it is for the whole team. And I think you're going to see more from Bryce of that this year. But I think everybody knows that this isn't a young team. So this shouldn't be called like the daycare anymore. These are guys that should be in the lineup every single day.
No, Bryson Stott poked fun at that too in an interview because they stopped doing the water, throwing on the water after the games, and he was like, "Well, it's not a daycare anymore." So it's good that they can jab with it a little bit. But I think you're right that message, Bryce Harper was he knew what he was doing when he sent that message.
Hey, look, there's a lot that is going on right now for the Phillies as far as positive concern. You got some great players, some solid pieces in the farm that are starting to get some work right now with Andrew Painter. The expectations there. Who's the other kid? What's the other bat down there in Reading?
Aiden Miller. Aiden Miller. Season off in AA, and Justin Crawford's in AAA to start.
How about that?
Aiden Miller went yard Friday night. And a double. You want to know? And I will say, I have a lot of
good things right now.
Oh, come on, Sean. Come on, Sean. I have a little bit of a gripe with Reading AA. They need to really get their stuff together down there. Because the
Reading
because the fact that there is no video or anything of Aiden Miller's home run from Friday night is a little sickening.
How is that even possible in 2025?
Maybe to put a camera. There was no video. There's not one video. Aiden Miller, I spoke to a reporter yesterday at the Phillies game, and Miller actually asked him after the game, because he was there, if he had a video of it. They need video in this stadium. I need to watch this kid hit.
I don't believe it.
There's no video. Go look up Aiden Miller home run on Twitter right now from Friday night, and there is nothing. There's not one video.
How does the ballpark not have just a big camera?
Listen, they might
every pitch.
They might, but there is not one video that has surfaced, and it's now been 3 days of his home run. They've played a new game since that game. So there's nothing. There's nothing of this kid's home run, and apparently it was a moonshot, and I didn't get to see it.
Well, again, like I said, there's a lot of positives right now with this team. Big series this week, rolling down to Atlanta, who lost 1 of 2. We're supposed to play 3 against the Marlins and get everything situated. Did not happen. They got blanked on Saturday 4-0. Did not play yesterday. So let's go. Good pitching matchups this week, and a lot to discuss as far as the Phillies conversation with Luke Arcani. Read him at crossingbroad.com. You can find him on socials at Arcani Luke. Right now, DraftKings Sportsbook, Phillies to win the NL East plus 120. Boys, the Mets are your second favorite right here, not the Bravos. The Mets at plus 200 and the Atlanta Braves plus 230. All right, around the MLB real fast, Luke, before you get out of here, the big storyline today, Vlad Guerrero signs a 14-year deal, $500 million. I get it. Congratulations, Vlad. But is Vlad Guerrero really a 14-year, $500 million player?
I think it's a contract that the Blue Jays have to give him. I think I'm not saying he's a bad player because he's not. He's an awesome.
He's not a bad player.
Unbelievable baseball player. But it's a contract that they have to give. They have not had a guy that has been their established face of the franchise since Joey Bautista. They need a guy in there. And I mean, I will say, Vlad Guerrero is 26 years old. He's a 4-time All-Star, multi-time Silver Slugger, has a Gold Glove, has won an MVP.
He's got a Gold Glove.
He's off of a 323 batting average last year with 30 homers, 44 doubles, and 940 OPS. Like, this guy's an awesome baseball player. It's just the matter of handing out a $500 million contract. And I mean, I think there's probably 3 players right now, I think, in baseball that probably truly deserve a $500 million contract. I don't know if Vladdy's one of them, but it's a contract, once again, that they have to give. Like, they finally have some sort of a guy. They can't let him go this offseason, especially I'll tell you that.
That makes sense. Yeah, and who knows where we'd end up. Other odds and ends from around the MLB over to the West Side.
Yeah, let's talk about the Giants here. Let's talk about the Giants.
8-1. Is this an early season, they're putting it together type deal, or do you think that the Giants will be there around the All-Star break, still holding strong as far as top of the division is concerned?
This is an early season, I think, little lightning in a bottle kind of thing. I don't think they're a bad baseball team. I think that this is a team that is fun and will get off to a nice hot start like they had. They won their last 7. I think by June, I think they'll be probably back to around 500. They just, like, if you look down the roster, like, they have good players, but they don't have a roster that can compete in the National League for 162 games. Because especially when you're in a division with the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks, yep. I still think the Giants finish 4th in the division. And they could win 84, 85 games, and I still think they could possibly be 4th in their division. It's just a really, really good elite division. But yeah, I mean, they're off to a fun start. I believe the Phillies, we have them soon. I think it's the end of this week or beginning of next week, something like that. Yeah, next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they come to Philadelphia for a 4-game series. That'll be a fun one. But yeah, no, they've been sneaky and fun. They've been really good so far to start the year.
Yeah, their pitching staff, as far as starters are concerned, Logan Webb, Verlander, Robbie Ray, Jordan Hicks, and Landon Rupp.
Yeah,
but Verlander. Yeah, Verlander is the one that, is going to pick up a knock and he's going to be out, and, whatever. So we'll see what happens. But it is entertaining, to say the least, as far as that division is concerned. Hey, beat each other up. Phillies get home field. Now we're cooking. I saw a lot of people saying the Dodgers can't come back here in October and win. I'm like, hold up just for a second. All right. Anything else as far as the MLB is concerned from the weekend you want to get off your chest, Luke, before you get out of here, sir?
Nothing crazy. I would say probably the biggest disappointment so far is, I would say, Seattle, probably. They're 3-7. They've scored like 30 runs all year in 10 games. They're starting to get bit now from having a mediocre offseason in where they had the chance to do a lot, and they didn't. They kind of sat there and watched everyone around them get better. And they didn't. So that's sort of where they're at right now. Other than that, not really much. That NL Central, Chicago looks good right now.
Chicago does look good.
One hell of a week from Kyle Tucker. He's had an awesome week. But yeah, I wouldn't say nothing else. We got a nice day off today, and then Zach Wheeler versus Chris Sale tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. We'll be all over it. Of course, Kyle Fisher checking in. He'll be joining me a little bit
yesterday down at the stadium.
Yeah, man. That's right. Good stuff down there. And again, one last note from me as far as baseball is concerned. The AL East, yeah, that's what it's all about. The Dodgers are the Yankees and the Red Sox. And of course, now you got the Blue Jays, Orioles, Rays. Who knows what's going to happen with those three? But you could feel that Yankees and Red Sox rivalry just heating up a little bit.
Yeah,
give it to me. If you're going to shove it down my throat, make it worth our time. Hello, put that on a t-shirt. Before you get out of here, Luke, tonight, national championship. What do you got? Who you taking?
Houston. I have my future. I believe my future was placed back in beginning of February. So I'm riding with Houston tonight, big time. And I will say I was all over Houston in the Final Four. I did actually fall asleep. I fell asleep, end of the game, woke up. I thought I was cooked, and I woke up and I saw the final score, and I was like, oh my Lord. So yeah, I'm rolling with Houston all the way. Houston all the way.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Dude, they
about
played on Saturday? I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. You the man. There he is. Luke Arcane and the Gambler Stream. Be sure to read him at crossingbroad.com. Find him on all things social. Thank you, Luke. We'll catch up later this week. Always a pleasure. All right. Let's keep it moving here because we do have a national championship to talk about. We got a big feat in the world of hockey to discuss as far as Ovechkin is concerned. Other odds and ends around the sports world and some local flavor here with Villanova. I thought Narty was staying. Say it ain't so.
He's gone?
Mike Narty not staying.
I was under the impression he was staying, really.
It's all right.
Is that
it was kind of all over the place, and it felt like he was going to be retained by Willard. No. And I think that's a mistake. A Villanova, let's just call it what it is, when these players are who they are. This guy's made a name for himself, and he's very outspoken. A guy that knows a thing or two when it comes to Villanova college basketball. He had a very enthusiastic take about Kyle Neptune and basically what he demolished with all things Villanova hoops. So I'll read you that tweet on the other side. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts. And there's some players that are transferring from Maryland coming over to Villanova, and nobody better to talk about that than Sam Oshtry from The Score. Oh, by the way, Kevin Willard's introductory press conference will be going down on Wednesday. We will have boots on the ground there. Looking forward to that one. So a lot to discuss. We'll hit some Masters, all that and more. Don't go anywhere. Just getting warmed up here on a Monday back after this.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because it's one thing then another. And don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation. But then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at nissanusa.com. Panoramic moonroof massaging leather appointed seats are available features.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor.
Doctor? Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. Like the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with the JBC 4-piece nugs, fries, and a small soft drink. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon, all the time. Duh. For the best deal, gotta be Wendy's. U.S. price and participation may vary.
Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook.
The stage is now set for tonight's NCAA championship game. It's in San Antonio. Florida looking to win their first national title since 2007, while Houston looks to win their first one ever. To the NBA, where the 76ers look to snap their 11-game losing streak. They'll visit the Heat tonight, and after winning 2 of 3 against the Dodgers, Phillies set to visit the Braves tomorrow. They'll start a 3-game series there. I'm Scott Davidson.
Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action.
DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Roger Caron was 16 when first convicted.
Has spent 24 of those years in jail.
12 years in solitary.
Broke out of jail more than any other prisoner in Canada.
The Go Boy podcast is the gritty true crime story of daring prison escapes, risky bank robberies, and swift police arrests. And the man who fought his way out of some of the darkest places imaginable to go from an ex-con to a best-selling author almost overnight. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Go Boy, and start listening today.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Getting busy on the Boulevard northbound Schuylkill to Broad, the westbound Schuylkill to Jan University Teacher Board, and City to Belmont eastbound. So at 202, Conshohocken to Belmont, Montgomery Drive to south, 95 northbound, stopping at Girard up the bridge, south and having Coppin to bridge. All right, to tell the total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. So whatever your customers are into, true crime, sports, comedy, culture, they'll hear your message. Plus, only iHeart can extend your message to audiences across broadcast radio. And all this reach means everything. Just think about the universal marketing formula. The number of consumers who hear your message times the response rate equals the results. Now let's get those results growing for you. Think podcasting can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, radio, and podcasting. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com. Or call 844-844-iHeart. One more time. Call 844-844-iHeart and get podcasting working for you.
Here's comedian Howie Mandel for hands-free Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins.
Yeah, I'm holding a new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-in sneaker, and first of all, I barely know I'm holding it. It's that light. You see, Cozy Fit is a cool new sneaker where the upper is made of a soft quilted material. It's kind of like a little puffer jacket for your feet, except it looks like a super stylish sneaker.
Introducing new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins, the latest comfort creation from Skechers. You can find Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated, because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Harbor Freight knows time is money, so for our Spring Black Friday sale, we're getting straight to the deals. This weekend, you get 35% off jack stands, 56-inch roll cabs under $800, and 2,300 PSI electric pressure washers under $190. See? Straight to the point, so you can get straight to the savings. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until April 13th, 2025, while supplies last. Limitations apply.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
#1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
I'm going to try to force it to him if he's open. Here is Ovechkin. Shoots. He scores! He scores! Number 895.
Ovi, he did it. You know, he was asked about that record a couple of seasons ago, and he's like, yeah, no shot. That's one of those records that I never thought we would ever see be broken. Of course, I was saying the same thing about Kareem. Kareem's record, right? Like I just never thought LeBron would play long enough at that level to obtain the numbers he would have to ultimately take over the number one spot. These guys just play at such a high level at the age that they're at right now. Ovechkin, and how good the Capitals are too, which is crazy, because you would think like, all right, this dude's out there, and they're getting him goals, and the team is, suspect at best. That's not the case. As I pull up my NHL standings, because I am such a diehard here. Where's my guy Larry Henry Jr. when we need him? But right now, the Capitals are top of the Metro. And they are 77 games played. They got 49-19. So 47 wins for the Maple Leafs over there in the Atlantic, 52 for the Central and Winnipeg, 47. So look, they're top of the list as far as the better teams in the NHL. But Ovechkin, again, playing as long as he has and was able to get the goal needed yesterday against the Islanders. Pretty cool story. Cool story.
No, absolutely. And any time there's these records that have been in place for years and decades by the historical greats, and you see someone break them, it's cool. Like, you don't have to be a diehard hockey fan, which I am certainly not, to appreciate sports moments like that. And like, that stuff is cool. Like the reaction, the pageantry, the when he skated on the ice,
he dove,
and everyone surrounded him. Dove on the ice. I meant. It was awesome. It was cool to see. And then him and Gretzky sharing the moment. Like you saw that when Kareem handed LeBron James that ball. It's just cool when greats respect greats and records like that are broken. It's just great sports moment.
Here, I could even raise it up another level for the people out there, courtesy of our friends over at Yahoo Sports. They do a great job with this newsletter. Kendall Baker. He says the following: the Capitals won the NHL draft on April 6, 2004. And the right to select a Russian phenom by the name of Alex Ovechkin with the first overall pick. Sam, do you know what today's date is?
It's April 7th, which means
21 years to the day.
That's awesome.
He broke the record. How about that? And on top of it, Ovechkin did it. 895 goals in 1,487 games. Gretzky did it. And he did 894 goals in 1,487 games. Like, it's just crazy, how those things are playing out exactly to the number there as far as games played between those two greats. And that's a record I never thought would happen. I just never thought that would be broken. Gretzky held that record for 31 years. Wow. PK Subban was on ESPN that said Austin Matthews could potentially break it.
Is he on pace? What about Connor Bernard now?
No, he's
been around for a while.
No, he's the young gun. You're thinking of McDavid.
Oh, Connor McDavid.
McDavid. I would assume. Again, if these guys can play to 39 to 40 to 41, 42 and keep scoring at a high level.
That's the thing. It's like LeBron's record will probably be broken. Like, you have some of these, even like a Luka, like some of these guys who are just young studs who the durability is the question mark, but you see guys that are across all sports playing later because of all the analytics we have behind health and the advancements we've made with medicine. So guys are going to be playing later. So you're going to see these records broken more often, most likely.
A topic we discussed last offseason. Do you know who could potentially go down as one of the greatest baseball players of all time?
Shohei Ohtani?
Juan Soto.
Juan Soto, really?
Look at Juan Soto's numbers and then check out how old he is. I think he just turned 26.
Wow.
Something like that. It's like he's been in the league forever. Look at his numbers.
26. Yep.
And it's just like, all right. Like you said, though, if they're durable and they don't have any injuries that take them and sideline them for a year or two, then they will be competing with those numbers. Pretty cool stuff, though, as far as the world of sports, as you said, man. Just you don't have to be a diehard hockey fan to be entertained by that. But keeping it moving, let's go ahead and get back over to the hardwood. I want to talk specifically about the NBA here. Sam Oshtry does a great job covering all things hoops. Does it all for us here on The Gambler. But make sure you check him out over at The Score. And a game took place last night that had a lot of attention, Sam.
Sure did.
And it was, of course, the LA Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the best record in all of hoops. And the Lakers went into OKC, and not only did they just win in a national televised game, they smashed Oklahoma City 126-99. I'm gonna categorize this question, and you can have two options of an answer. You ready?
Yep.
Answer A is maybe what took place yesterday shows us that Oklahoma City isn't as good as advertised. Maybe leaking, maybe they are gettable. Or option B, we need to be focusing on the Lakers more than anything. Put OKC aside. They're a damn good ball club. We know how good OKC is. But the Lakers, with that performance in a 7-game series with those two dudes out there, JJ Redick, Austin Reeves, they're putting it together. Are we? Because you know where I'm at. Put me in category B. All right? You can hear it from my voice. Where do you stand on that if you had to give me an answer, A or B on that one?
I'm going with B because I think it's more about the Lakers because for a couple of reasons. Lakers needed this game more. Like they needed to separate themselves from the West pack. So now the Lakers are the 3 seed and they're likely going to finish as the 3 seed. And that 4 through 8 is really jumbled in those West standings, all within a half a game. So Lakers needed this win more to separate themselves from the pack. The Thunder, you don't really want to see this from a young team that hasn't accomplished much in the playoffs, but they're ready to get to the playoffs. I mean, they're so far ahead of the rest of the West. It's one of those games in pretty much the last week of the season. You're just like, all right, get us to the playoffs. And that's excusable when you're the Celtics or maybe you're a team that's accomplished more with more veterans. You don't love to see that from the Thunder, but I'm not putting too much stock in it. What I will say is from the Lakers' perspective is they did a great job defensively against the Thunder. And that's going to be the big thing for the Lakers. It's defensively without a rim protector, with a lot of questionable perimeter defenders and Luka Doncic. You never know what you're going to get from LeBron defensively. Austin Reeves. A lot of guys you can target. How were they going to be defensively? And against a great offense in the Thunder, they were awesome. Like they really shut off Shea's drives. They shut off Jalen Williams' drives. They built a wall. They were in the gaps. They were really preventing them from getting to their spots, which was really impressive. And they also switch everything because they play small. And the Thunder went with a Chet Holmgren lineup. And that's as big a lineup as you can get in basketball.
Wait, what did it go with again?
Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. And you never heard anyone call him that?
No, I never heard the I Heart. I like that.
I go I Heart, yeah.
I like that. Well, we're
perfect, right?
Wait, what?
Shout out I Heart.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
So they went with that big lineup. And the Lakers can't match that. I mean, Jackson Hayes is their 5-man, but he's not a starting caliber 5. So you can't really match that. And that's the problem with the Lakers, why they won't go as far as maybe some people believe, is because of that 5-man where they don't have not even depth at center. They don't have any starting caliber center. So they're forced to play small. And when they play small, you got to switch everything. And you're going to have your wings guarding guys like Chet, who can pound down low, but he's also a guy who can play on the perimeter. Isaiah Hartenstein is more of, you kind of have to set him up. He's good in the short roll as a passer. He can hit the floater, but he's not really a guy you're going to run anything through. But the Lakers did a great job. They put their wings on them. They did a great job on the boards. They did a great job defensively against big lineups. So it was really impressive, Lakers defensively, which was my big takeaway from that, because we know what they are offensively. I mean, with Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James, may be the best big 3 in the entire league with how great Austin Reeves has been, who I could make a real argument is the second best player behind Luka on the Lakers right now, with how he's playing. So we know what they are offensively. Defensively and rebounding, that was the question mark, and they answered the bell against the Thunder. But again, one regular season game where the game mattered a lot more for the Lakers than did the Thunder.
Bronny James got action.
That's when you know it was ugly.
He scored 4 points in that game. How about that? The big one for me, when you look at a game like that, maybe people weren't able to pay attention too much, but I was watching a little bit of it, caught more of the second half when things were a little bit out of a whack for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Still an entertaining game. You had Trent.
Yeah, he got flipped off courtside.
Yeah, like the dude has made such a name for himself, and here he is courtside backwards hack. God bless him. Whatever. Anyways,
not a backwards hack guy.
No, I'm a coward. Oh no. Yeah, I didn't mean like that. I just was laughing. Like he's such a Stu Nod, but he's made a crazy living being a Stu Nod. Anyways, the 3-point shooting from the Lakers, they shot 55%, 22 of 40. Now, when that takes place yesterday, because I've heard people talk about JJ Redick's putting them in the right positions to hit those shots. What should we take away from the 22 of 40? Because that's not something that's going to happen often. That's not something that, forgive me, I don't know what Lakers are as far as a 3-point shooting team throughout the course of a season, but I sure as hell know they're not 55%. But do you think, like, all right, hey man, those shots were just falling? Or is there something to the fact that these guys are starting to feel themselves, find their spots? Reddick is doing a hell of a job coaching. And oh, by the way, you got two of the greats of all time.
Look, in the last few games, really last 15 games or so, they're shooting almost 40% from three.
Wow.
Which is top 4 in the league.
Yeah.
On the season, which you can't really factor into the season necessarily because Luka obviously got there at the trade deadline in February. But on the season, they're shooting around league average from three. So it's interesting. I don't take too much away from it other than it was a phenomenal shooting night and they're capable of having those shooting nights. What I really, the big takeaway is they have so many table setters now that can find guys shots. So Luka Doncic, we know what he is as a passer. We know what LeBron James is as a passer. Those are two of the best passers maybe in NBA history now playing together, and two of the best creators. So we know what they are as table setters. But now you have Austin Reeves, who they're running a lot through, and he's a great downhill driver. He can shoot the ball really well, but he's also a great creator for others. So when you put Luka or LeBron off the ball, he can create for other guys and run a lot of things through Austin Reeves. So he's been so impressive as a creator. So when you have as many creators and defenses have to pay so much attention to those three guys, you have to think of coverages and load up on help on those three guys. It's going to create looks for others. And so that's why I think the opportunity is there for the Lakers to get open shots for guys like Rui Hachimura. He's not a great three-point shooter, but can make threes. And of course, Dorian Finney-Smith. Gabe Vincent has been awesome the last 2 months or so. He had 12 points yesterday, but he's been awesome the last 2 months. So guys like that are going to get easier looks, and that's going to make them a better shooting team because they have these three creators in their big three who are just phenomenal.
Well, big time win yesterday as far as the Lakers are concerned. And when you fire up DraftKings, you look at the futures. I started buying in a little bit more on the Clippers in the West.
They've been awesome.
Yeah, I've been starting to buy in. Kawhi looks great. I think we were talking a little bit about that last week, and I think he just won the player of the week, if I'm not mistaken, from the West. So the Clippers have my attention. But, man, should we start – Oklahoma City's not going to win this conference?
No, I'm not there. I haven't wavered once all year. You know that. I've been OKC is winning this.
And They're so good. They're
and
so
I'm not going
deep.
to waver now. And the only thing is the inexperience which could come to play in Jalen Williams as a secondary guy. Like, what's he going to give you? And if he's not giving you great nights, you have so much depth where Chet could be a secondary guy. Teams are going to sell out to stop Shea. I mean, they were going to blitz Shea. They're going to trap Shea on blitz his pick and roll coverages. They're going to throw two guys at him. They're going to do everything to prevent him from getting to his spots, and he might just do it anyway. So it's going to come down to the others. The Thunder are so deep. Defensively, we know what they are. They value possessions more than anyone in the league. Number one in turnovers in terms of forcing turnovers, and then number one in turnovers offensively, where they never turn the ball over. Like, that is valuing possessions at such a high rate, which matters in the playoffs. I can't get off this Thunder team. They've just been so dominant all year. I mean, we're talking about a team that could win almost 70. What's the record right now? They could win almost 70 games. Like that's how great.
64-14.
Yeah, so they're not going to win 7 games, but they could get to 66, 67 wins. So that is just, I can't discount a team like that. I don't care about their inexperience. They went through the playoff scores last year. I don't see a way that the Thunder don't win the West. With the Nuggets have been struggling, the Lakers, obviously, they get that big win, but I still have questions at center with their rim protection and defensively with all three of those guys on the floor. I'm just not buying any other team. It's going to be the Thunder.
Play-in tournament will start 1 week tomorrow, from tomorrow, on April 15th. The NBA regular season comes to a close on the 13th, which is the Sunday. Get a little bit of a breather, and then we get our play-in tournament. And again, you got to focus on some of the bright spots, but you think it's bad for the Sixers, which it is. Could we show some love for the Phoenix Suns? What a disaster of a year.
That's the question. Who's had the more disastrous year?
Oh, I don't think it's even close. It's got to be Phoenix.
Just because they've been more healthy.
Yeah, and I never thought that the Sixers were going to put it together, but to miss the play-in, to miss everything, to be eliminated. You got Kevin Durant out there. You got Devin Booker. Like these guys were just on USA's balling, and now Beal. Like, you can't figure it out, so they get eliminated, which is awesome to see. But the Sixers, that was one thing that I learned from over the weekend that really made me upset more than anything. Duke related. I heard that Paul George is currently building a house in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he texted that.
That's not good. That means he thinks he's here. Come on,
Do you think Daryl Morey We know how cutthroat Daryl Morey is. You think Daryl Morey cares that he's building a house?
Paul
He
George,
sees an opportunity
why
to trade
are you
him.
building a house?
Yeah, why is he? Maybe he really likes the city. I mean, it's got to be outside the city, but maybe he really likes the area.
I only
maybe he
heard.
can see this being home post-playing career.
God bless him.
I don't know why I don't live here over LA, but
Yeah, let's just be honest about who he is,
Yes, like
right?
for him, I
That's
mean, for him.
one. Two is, dude, if you play like you have to be much better. Like you're not going to be a fan favorite. This isn't going to end like you think it is. And I don't care where he lives in the main line or whatever. But the rumor I heard, and maybe I need to be a little bit better as far as my sources are concerned, but I know exactly where he is, where he was as soon as he came into town, where he's living with that point of view. And then I heard over the weekend that he was actually building. And it's just like, oh no, Paul George is building a home here. No,
he'll spot up right next to Michael Rubin and Bryn Mawr.
Amen to that.
And another very, very prominent Sixers player.
A lot of a lot of people living up in that area.
Yeah,
you're right.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
One of the nicest places in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I will ask you: does your source say that Podcast P is building a podcast studio, and that's in that house as well?
Oh, that's
got to take up half the place, right?
Yeah. Well,
how much he's investing in this podcast?
Exactly. Well, look, Gilbert Arenas has taken the baton for these players and shown you if you're going to do it, this is what you need to do. And I will give Gilbert credit in that front. I hated him. I could not stand what was coming out of his mouth and that whole podcast, and I just knew it. Like I could see these podcasts get started and they start to make little waves. And Gilbert Arenas deserves all the love in the world because of who he was, college basketball player, one of the better shooters, like all that. He knows stories, and I get he's entertaining. But the things that they were saying like last year before in that podcast is like, oh my God, this is gonna blow up. Well, and it was just so bad. It's just run of the mill now.
That's what I love about Jeff Teague is he's hilarious and he's a phenomenal storyteller, but he's not so outlandish, just saying crazy stuff with his takes. Like Gilbert Arenas has just said some absurd things. He's a great personality. He's funny. Like,
and now he's
entertaining when I watch him.
And now
he's going to get a deal with NBC when the NBA goes to NBC next year.
Yeah.
But he just says the most outlandish stuff. And that's what you have to do. And I believe it was Marcus Morris who was on ESPN. He did the ESPN morning show rounds last week. And he was saying, I think he said he was saying something about Jokic. I forgot exactly what the content of what he was saying was. It was so absurd, made no sense, just followed no reason, logic. That's what you got to do. It's all shock value.
Yeah.
Fat value. Producers love that. If you say the most insane stuff, you're going to get attention. And it's like guys like Gilbert Arenas, former players like Marcus Morris, those guys are going to get the attention. And attention is eyeballs, and eyeballs is viewers, and viewers is marketing deals. And we know the cycle.
All about engagement, baby.
Yep.
All about engagement. All right. Anything else? I can't believe you're watching this NBA. Really?
This West race is wild. Can I paint the picture for you here?
All right, you could paint the picture, but the basketball that we're watching to close up shop, as far as the season is concerned, is it good?
I mean, look, half the teams have given up,
Correct.
so and aren't even
These
playing their
spreads,
guys. So yeah,
Sam, when they roll out a full board of games, these spreads are all like 90% of them are double digits.
I'm not watching the Utah Jazz, Grace. like come on, or the Nets.
All right, what are you watching tonight? What are you watching tonight?
There's only 2 games tonight.
All right,
huge slate tomorrow night.
Paint the picture.
But here's the picture in the West. So the Thunder are locked in as 1. We know
Sam's gonna sell the NBA on April 7th.
I will.
Let's
watch,
right.
and you'll be sold.
All
Thunder 1 in the West, 12.5 games over the Rockets. That's done.
Yep.
Rockets are 4.5 games, or excuse 3.5 over the Lakers. So the Rockets are going to be the 2 seed, which is really interesting. Lakers are probably going to be the 3 seed. Now we have the Nuggets 4, Clippers 5, Warriors 6, Timberwolves 7, Grizzlies 8, all separated by a half game. They all have pretty much the same record, and there's a scenario now where the Nuggets could end up being the 7th seed in the play-in. After last week, or a couple weeks ago, they were the 2 seed.
Yeah.
And the Rockets just have been red hot, making a great run. Nuggets have been without Jamal Murray. They've been struggling, dropped the last 4 games. Now we have the Nuggets could be the 7th seed because of how jumbled these standings are. So the Nuggets, Clippers, Warriors, Wolves, and Grizzlies. Seeds 4 through 8. That's 5 teams separated by a half game. Every game for them is so important, and how these matchups shake out is going to determine who goes on these playoff runs. Like if the Lakers and Warriors play each other as a 3-6, that is a phenomenal first round series. you should want the 7th seed in some way because the Rockets are probably one of the easier first-round matchups. Where are the Clippers going to land? Because the Clippers have been red hot. Kawhi Leonard is playing all-star level basketball. This middle of the West has been so entertaining, and it will be for the last last week of the season. Are you sold? No.
Get me to the playoffs, and not even the play-in. Just get me to the playoffs. All right. We've watched enough NBA basketball to know that, like, all right, these are the teams that are going to compete. I will say you're right about the Nuggets, though. The Nuggets is very surprising because nobody saw that. Warriors have my attention because now we need to be looking at them in a different manner. I think that they could potentially win it all. Right. I don't think it should be shocking how much different they look with Jimmy and what they've shown us.
That if it does end up being Lakers Warriors in that 3-6, that first round series is going to be incredible. I got that going 7 games, but that's also likely a ticket to the Western Conference Finals because you play the Rockets or maybe the Timberwolves in that second round. You'd expect the Warriors or Lakers both to be favored in those matchups. And then you're looking at a Lakers or Warriors with a lot of experience on both those teams gearing up against a Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. So that could be electric.
Nuggets and Clippers face off tonight in the 7-game series. Who you got?
Jamal Murray's missed the last few games. He's been out for a while. He should be back out for a couple weeks. He should be back for the playoffs.
All right.
He's the most important player for the Nuggets. Jokic he's been the best player in the league all season. He is no help. Christian Braun has taken a huge step. Aaron Gordon's still doing his thing. Russell Westbrook's been bad the last few months. It all comes down to Jamal Murray. So to answer your question, I'm going to lean Nuggets in 7 because they have the best player in the series. Clippers defense is phenomenal. Kawhi Leonard and James Harden are playing really well together. Their synergy has been great. Kawhi Leonard is back to playing at all NBA level, really, you could say. His efficiency is back up. He's getting to the free throw line. He looks athletic again on his drives. He's averaging 25 over the last month and a half. So he's been awesome. That's a 7-game series to me. I would lean Nuggets because of the best player in the series. But Jamal Murray has to show up. He's the most important player for the Nuggets.
All right. And if the Lakers and Warriors played in a 7-game series tonight, who you got? Now, they just played, and the Warriors beat them back on April 3rd. It's April 7th. They just played. Warriors got the best of L.A. in L.A. 7-game series starts tonight. Who you got?
Just you like pitching that is making me think this Western Conference is going to be electric.
And these are, by the way, if the playoffs started today, these are the matchups we would get.
We're talking about the 2 most important players over the last 15 years in the NBA facing off in the first round.
100%.
Which could be the last time these guys ever play each other in a meaningful series. Like that's awesome. I would lean. I'm really just filibustering right now.
That's all right.
I'm trying to think about it. I'm no. Who's the guy that just did 25 hours on the 7th?
Cory Booker.
Cory Booker. Yeah, I'm no Cory Booker. I would lean. Lakers.
All right.
Warriors have been awesome with Jimmy Butler. I think Luka, Austin Reeves, and who am I forgetting? LeBron James, obviously. That 3 is just too powerful. Lakers also, that would be a good matchup for them because the Warriors and Lakers would both go small against each other. So the Lakers not having a rim protecting big wouldn't really affect them. So I would go Lakers in 7 in that.
Lakers in 7, as Sam Oshtry from The Score says. All right, folks. Let's get to the Natty talk. Quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. Fire up DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's see if we can find a winning wager or 2 in tonight's national championship game between Houston and Florida. We'll call it as a pick 'em because I've seen a lot of people go both ways on this one. A lot of people like Houston. A lot of people like Florida. Find out which way Sam is going on this one. It's a great matchup on the floor, but of course, Kelvin Sampson versus Todd Golden has my attention as well. A lot to discuss. Kelvin Sampson, 69 years old. Todd Golden, 39. Woo-wee! College hoops, nothing better. More Daily Ticket back after this.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Heads up from in South Jersey. It's in Hamilton. The White Horse Pike is blocked both ways between Maple Street and Moss Mill Road due to a crash. Watch for a crash in Washington Township 42 northbound at Sicklerville Road. The right lane is blocked. Schuylkill westbound Jan, University to Jabard and City to Belmont. Eastbound Heavy 202 to Gulf Mills. Conshohocken to Belmont and Jam Montgomery Drive to South. The Vine Expressway busy both ways. Schuylkill to Broad. 95 northbound. Stop and go Girard up to Bridge. All right, to tell total traffic
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get 60% off, free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else, and we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. Get started today by calling 844-844-iHeart. That's 844-844-iHeart.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL The Gambler for the latest CEOs you should know.
Sharia McRae, CEO of Foundation Academies.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Are your money skills total trash? Well, you are not alone. Personal finance ignorance is as American as apple pie. But don't fret. The How to Money podcast is here to help you improve. Think, Matt, if your emergency fund was invested, especially given the volatility we're experiencing right now. Ouchies. Investing, it is ultimately a necessity, but you got to keep that emergency fund accessible. It needs to be cash parked in your savings. It's time to increase your money knowledge. And the How to Money podcast is here to bring the wisdom. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search How to Money, and start listening today.
A landscaping pro's workday is measured in power per hour, more work in less time. That's why the pros prefer Echo outdoor power equipment. Echo's best-in-class chainsaws, blowers, and string trimmers make light work out of the toughest work days. It's time your crew upgraded to Echo Power. Experience Echo Power for yourself at Laurel Lawnmower in Blackwood, New Jersey. Visit laurellawn.com or call 856-228-2770 to learn more. Echo. Power on and on.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Anywhere else, Tuesday is just, well, Tuesday. But if you're at KFC, Tuesday is $10 Tuesday, which means you can get 8 hot, juicy drums and thighs for just $10. Let me say that again. 8 pieces of hot, juicy, original recipe chicken, hand-breaded in 11 herbs and spices, all for just $10 every Tuesday, only at KFC. Guess Tuesday isn't just Tuesday anymore. It's finger-licking good. Prices and participation may vary. Tax, tips, and fees extra.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
Everybody runs down the floor. James, long pass down the floor. Cryer tips it. Loose. Knipple has it. Throws to Proctor. Heaves up the 3. No good. Houston from behind.
I'm getting mad.
Down.
I'm getting mad.
Don't do it.
Get stop. Stop the audio as I hit play. Let me ask you about that play, Sam. What was that? The final play? What was that? You're down 3. You got 4.3, and he throws that heave?
Yeah.
Can I just you watch the Warriors, right? Like, that's coaching. So the Warriors, like, I always hear the inbounders, the most dangerous man. They have this play where it's like, who's the kid from Santa Clara? Pajinski, right? Is that his name?
Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last week I saw this. You see what Curry, they inbound it, and then boom, he sprints up and you get it right back to him.
Yeah.
Snap of the fingers, he's right at half court. Why couldn't you do something like that?
No, you're right.
The heave, and then they didn't even get a shot off. Like, what? That's coaching. That's John Shire. What the hell is he doing there?
No, I'm with you. And going back to Flag, right? Like that final play design for Flag to get a look.
Yeah.
I didn't hate the look. Like, look, you isolated him on the left wing. He gets a decent look. I mean, that's a tough shot. It's a fadeaway contested too.
It's a shot he
but
makes.
It's a shot he's capable of making. You see guys at his level make that all the time. So I didn't think it was a bad look. But Juwan Roberts, I mean, credit to him. Like Houston didn't even think about doubling. I mean, maybe they thought about it. They didn't double. Like they just let Juwan Roberts out there on an island. It's like, all right, you're a strong physical guy, you have good foot speed. You do your thing. And he did a phenomenal job on that coverage, guarding Cooper Flag, forcing a tough contested too. But I didn't hate it. A lot of people were really critical of that and Flag. I thought it was a good look. It doesn't mean Cooper Flag isn't clutch. He's had some poor late moments throughout the season. I didn't think that was necessarily one of them. It was just he missed a shot. It was a decent look, though.
Yeah, I have no issues with that play at all. But the final play, come on, as we just heard right there, courtesy of the Houston Cougars radio network. Oh, by the way, Houston, they're on a historic quest, obviously. This is their first opportunity, or they are seeking their first ever national title. Phi Slamma Jamma dominated. I think they went to multiple Final Fours. I think they went to back-to-back championship games. I know they lost to NC State, in 83 when it was Survive and Advance. But, man, that's pretty surprising to hear that they weren't able to ever win one. When you think about it, could it be tonight? We'll see. There's a lot to love about the Houston Cougars, but I don't want to sleep on the Florida Gators here either. Let's just dive. We're going to dive right into this. And I'm going to pepper you with some questions. It's not going to be smooth here, but let's just talk this. We got we're sitting at the bar. We got a couple beverages in front of us.
Talk it out.
So, as far as the style is concerned, Houston feels it, and I think they got their way against Duke in that second half. And we've seen a lot of these games with Houston. They slow it down, and the game plays to their pace. Florida's a different monster, though. Do you think tomorrow, when we discuss this game, we're going to be saying Houston, their pace of play dominated that game, they were able to break it down to the way they wanted? Or will it be Florida and what we saw, somewhat of a contrast in that Auburn game where it was just burner and possession after possession after possession? Important conversation to have for the total, which on DraftKings Sportsbook, I believe, was 140 and a half.
I think Houston is going to control the pace. And look, Houston, it's Houston's defense that does it. We know what they're all offensively, but it's Houston's defense. And you saw it against Duke, where even Duke was up, I think it was like 18-9 early on in the game. Their defense was still so locked in. They're preventing Duke from going on these crazy runs, even while their offense was struggling. And that's how you can really control the pace with just getting timely stops. And they held Duke, the number one offense in the country, to 67 points. Their lowest scoring output, other than a Wake Forest January game where they only scored 63. So it was really Houston's defense that got it done. I think you're going to see the same thing against Florida. Again, a Florida team that it was a top 3 offense in the country, but you're going to see Houston control the pace with their defense because they're going to limit Florida's guards. And if you can really limit Florida's guards,
they're in trouble.
Then they have great bigs too. Like Alex Conn, obviously phenomenal passing big, but if you limit Florida's guards, you're cooked.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Houston's going to do. And in turn, they're going to control the pace, and it's going to be a pretty low scoring game, I think.
You're on Houston.
I am.
Do you think this is an easy win?
No, absolutely not. I think we talked about these teams. They've been 2 of the best teams in the country all year.
Yeah.
But they're also 2 of the best clutch teams in the country.
Yes.
I told you earlier that Houston is Florida, number 1 true shooting percentage in the country in the clutch. Number 1 in turnover percentage in the country in the clutch. They shoot 78% from the free throw line in the clutch. Like, those are great numbers. But on the flip side, Houston, here's a clutch stat for you. They hold their opponent's three-point shooting 28% in the clutch. Their defense locks in on a whole nother level where they make it impossible to drill threes against them late in the games. Houston, 74% free throw shooting team on the year, 82.6% in the clutch. Like, they shoot 38% from 3 themselves in the clutch. So I keep using this word clutch. We have two of the clutchest teams in the country. This is not an easy win. It's not an easy game. This game is going to come down to those final 5-4 minutes. And it's going to be the team that is more resilient late when both these teams have been that throughout the tournament.
Yeah, it's going to see who's going to break in the final minute or two of the game. As you just pointed out, both teams have been awesome in that spot. And Florida, more than anything, has been eye-opening. But maybe we haven't been paying attention enough to the clutch numbers because of the dirty work they're doing on the defensive side with Houston. Mark Henry Jr., he's been Mr. Coug for a long time.
Sure has.
Cougs cement themselves tonight as one of the best teams of all time with the hardest path of all time. Go Cougs. I'm mad at Mark Henry Jr. because he put the reverse curse on my Duke. He put that text out.
What he
and
said?
it was 5 minutes in the game. And he's like, I was
say.
wrong. I can't believe I took Houston in this game. And I looked at the text and I didn't say anything because I was on cloud 9 and that reversed nonsense worked. And Houston came out on top. I'm so mad.
You had to reverse the reverse jinx.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that.
Also, I mean, to that text, for 39 minutes of that game, Duke, it looked like Duke it couldn't be jinxed. They had that game. There was no chance of them losing. And then that final minute.
Nobody has an answer for how that played out. And it just, you got to give Houston all the credit in the world. All right, let's talk about Walter Clayton Jr. here.
Let's do it.
He's been on fire, back-to-back 30-point performances. First time since Larry Bird, I want to say, in Elite 8 and Final 4.
It is.
And he had 34 points against Auburn. He's about as smooth as it gets. He's got Curry in him. Like that's all you got to say is that. And that's just another level. But when it comes to Houston, they have the bullseye and they know, hey, look, you cut the head of the snake off, they're going to struggle. Can Florida score enough if Walter Clayton is limited to, let's say, 18, 20, whatever it may be, not reach a 25 to 30-point margin? And do you think Florida can get enough scoring to win this game if Walter Clayton is shut down?
I think Walter Clayton is going to score in the teens, and I think that's going to be the difference. And what Houston's going to do is they're going to trap and blitz Walter Clayton constantly. Like, you are getting the ball out of his hands. And what it's going to come down to is Florida has a bunch of good passing bigs that we discussed, like Thomas Hugh, Alex Condon. Those guys are great in the short roll as passing bigs. Those guys can make plays. So it's going to come down to the others for Florida other than Walter Clayton. Those guys are going to make plays in the short roll after you're going to see Walter Clayton get blitzed and trapped a ton. It's going to come down to Elijah Martin, Will Richard. Are those guys going to hit shots? Both of them shoot 35% from 3. They shot way better against Auburn from 3 as a team than the team average. But those guys are 35% three-point shooters, so you really never know which way it could trend. If those guys are making shots and impacting the game offensively at a high level, then Florida's going to win. But it's going to come down to them because they are going to do everything. Houston is going to do everything to sell out on Walter Clayton Jr., and that's going to include trapping and blitzing him. And they have the personnel for it. Like, we know Houston's defense, all their guards who are just phenomenal defenders, and even Juwan Roberts who can guard on the perimeter. All of them are just so great at limiting downhill drives and preventing paint penetration that I think Houston is just going to eat up Florida's offense.
What's the key for the Florida Gators to come out on top tonight?
I think it's rebounding. I think rebounding is going to have a huge impact on this game. Florida's been the 4th best offensive rebounding team in the country all year, and you saw that against Auburn. They dominated the offensive glass more so in the second half against Auburn. But Houston's also a great offensive rebounding team, and they're a good defensive rebounding team. So it's really, can Florida get an edge rebounding, creating extra possessions? Because that's what their offense relies on a lot. It's crashing the offensive glass and creating extra possessions. But on the flip, Houston has the personnel on the glass to limit a lot of Florida's second chance opportunities. So if Florida can get an edge rebounding, then they could win the game. If Houston limits that favors Houston.
Are you surprised about the spread?
Yeah, I am.
It did open up at 1.5. We're holding steady at 1. Should we be making anything of that? Like, for me, that was the determining factor for me to take the Gators over Auburn. I know what I'm dealing with Houston. I felt like we talked about this game, both games, a ton last week, and I simply said my favorite was Florida. I would not be surprised if Duke lost to Houston. And what happened? I was surprised at the end, but again, Houston is that good. But you talk about a tournament where has been nothing but chalk.
Yeah.
For the first time in history, favorites went 12-0 straight up, Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. Overall, favorites have won 15 straight tournament games dating back to Iowa State's loss to Ole Miss in the round of 32. And you talk about the national championship since 1970, 41-13 favorites straight up. So here we are, Florida's favorite in this. Any read on that? Any surprise? What do you do with that?
I thought Auburn should have been favored in that game, and I read it wrong, obviously, and it was a good call by you to scalp that out. And be
Got
like,
one.
Florida, yeah, and scalp that out and be like, Florida is favored for a reason. And so maybe that's saying something here too. I just look at these teams, and Houston's the better team, and we're seeing defense prevail time and time again. Like even that Duke-Alabama game, Duke's defense is the reason Duke escaped Alabama and had a 20-point win because they shut off Alabama's offense. Houston's defense in the final 10 minutes of that game is the reason why they won. It's the best defense in the country. It's one of the best defenses of all time. They're just so physically daunting. Florida played a really difficult ACC schedule. They played a ton of great teams. They have not played a defense all season as good as Houston. And it's the old adage that defense wins championships. That's not always true necessarily. You got to have a reliable defense, not the best necessarily. Here, I think Houston's defense is just so good. They're going to shut off Florida's water, take away Walter Clayton Jr. with these traps, make other guys make plays. And I think Houston's going to win the game. I think Houston's the better team, and they deserve to be favored.
It's hard not to make the case for Houston here. I will not lie that I hate wagered on Saturday night after that game went final, and I put everything on Florida. So I'm riding with the Gators. I'm so mad at Duke for blowing that. It would have been the greatest national championship game that I can remember. And I had 2 straight with UConn, but I was going to be so excited just to get that exact matchup right. But it didn't happen. Oh, well, we're going to let that one go and see if we can cash in tonight. Once again, DK is where we're getting our numbers from. And with 140.5, 1 point spread. What is your favorite play for tonight? Is it Houston, or do you like anything with the total?
Let me give out a player prop for people that can give player props out, and it speaks to what I was just talking about. Walter Clayton Jr. under 22.5 points.
22.5 is his number?
22.5.
If he stays under that, they lose 100%.
Yeah, and that's why I think Houston's going to win, because I think it's going to come down to the others where they're going to Walter Clayton Jr. is not going for another 30 ball. I mean, what he just did with back-to-back 30 balls.
What if he does, though?
And Final Four, then Florida's national champions. And credit to that guy. Maybe you should draft him second overall. But he's not. He's not going for another 30 ball. I think they're selling out. I keep talking about it. They're selling it. They're going to sell out to take the ball out of Walter Clayton Jr.'s hands and make Florida's bigs make plays. You're going to have to rely on guys like Elijah Martin and Will Richard to make shots. And whether they do or don't, the ball is not going to, it's not going to be a Walter Clayton Jr. game. And I think Houston's defense is going to be geared towards limiting him. And I don't think he's going to have one of these great scoring outputs. I could see him scoring maybe like 16 or 18 still, but I think it comes under 22.5.
Florida, first national championship since, of course, that great run back in 06 and 07.
Yep. Billy Donovan.
Yeah, it's been 18 years since they won a national championship. As I pointed out, Houston never had one. It's crazy when you start talking about these coaches, 69 and 39, a huge difference in age, and Golden could be the youngest head coach to ever win a national championship since Jim Valvano did it back in 83 when they beat Houston. So how about that, sports fans? Interesting stuff there. Can't wait for tonight. It's been a hell of a tournament. 8:50 tip time, just a tad bit earlier. I would assume that's probably like a 9 o'clock start.
Yeah, can people stop complaining tonight?
No.
Why? We got it from 9:20 to 8:50. Everyone should stop complaining.
It's not starting at 8:50.
Like 8:57 it'll start. I mean, it's better than a 9:26 start time. And we can get some little one shining moment at the end. Everyone can stay up for that.
You ready for my hot take?
You don't like one shining moment?
I hate one shining moment.
I will say the quality's gotten worse, but why don't you like it?
It's
cool. You remember all the great tournament moments. Not that there were that many this year, but
yeah, exactly.
But most years.
And hate is a strong word, but yeah,
It's a good soundtrack.
I think people are a little over the top of one shining moment.
I like it.
And I think a little bit more kicks in that it's sadness that everything is coming to an end. You know, like now we got Phil's baseball and that's it.
Come on.
What
else do we got?
NBA?
Yes.
Well, here locally.
The playoffs are here. Yeah, locally.
I'm all about the NBA playoffs. You're right. As we broke down the West, but like, what are you selling me on the East? An Eastern Conference final? Cool. That takes a little while. That's in May.
Knicks Celtics second round will be a really good series.
Okay.
I don't think the Knicks
The
are going to
team
win.
that they can't beat in the regular season.
Yeah,
all of a sudden they're
the Knicks are playing
good
good ball, but they still haven't beat the best teams in the league. Jalen Brunson's back.
Brunson's
Knicks Celtics will be a good second round series.
Yeah, man, he's missed a ton of time since that ankle injury. That was brutal.
I think he spent a little more time out just to rehab it a little bit because the Knicks are kind of locked
No
into
rush.
that 3 seed.
Yeah.
He'll be good for the playoffs.
All right.
Can I say something about Kelvin Sampson real quick?
Oh, please do.
One of the most underrated culture builders in the sport. I mean, he doesn't really get as much credit as some of these guys like Izzo's or Calipari's or Pitino. He's finally starting to get it, and it's well-deserved. Like, it's really hard to win a national title. And whether he does or doesn't tonight doesn't really change how great of a coach he is.
Houston's been unbelievable for years now.
Unbelievable. And you know what? A lot of people thought there was going to be a big transition going from mid-major to the Big 12. Not at all. He's dominated the Big 12 since he's been there. All-time great culture builder. The toughness, the grit he instills in his players. His son is going to be getting the job when he leaves, so we'll see if he can continue that success. But such a great coach that doesn't get as much love, maybe because he's one of these older guys. People love like the newness of Todd Golden and John Shire, but he's done a phenomenal job. Like, same with guys like Rick Barnes, and people are critical of his tournament success. Izzo, he hasn't won in 25 years, even though Michigan State's consistently in the tournament. It is really hard to win a national title, and you shouldn't necessarily be judged on whether you've won national titles or not, especially when you build up a program like Kelvin Sampson has with Houston. So win or lose tonight, he's become an underrated coach, and he's one of the best in the country. So credit to him.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and well put. Oh, by the way, Houston's jerseys are fire.
Yeah, they're great.
Wow, those jerseys
Cool, yeah.
were hot, man, on Saturday night. I was like, dude, I would love one of those jerseys. And then
I actually bought in that group chat today. I bought one of those Tennessee hats.
Did you?
Yeah. It was
nice.
a little different, but it was like the Vols script.
I like the dog, Smokey the dog. I think his name is Smokey.
Yeah, I don't know his name exactly, but
I think it's Smokey.
I bought one of those
For the Smoky Mountains.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah. All right, great stuff, Sam. What do you got cooking over there at the Score, sir? What can we read? What can we find this week? What's happening?
A lot of NBA stuff coming up later this week. I mean, a lot of golf stuff too, but that's not really from me at all. But they do great golf coverage, so check out their golf content for the Masters. A lot of NBA stuff coming up for me later this week. Awards, playoff race, and then into the playoffs. We're gonna be diving in. Stay tuned to the Twitter, to the app, all of it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of Masters coverage coming your way here on the Daily Ticket.
Do you have a pick?
Not yet. Got to talk to my people.
Nice.
We got Chris Powers who will be joining me tomorrow live from Augusta.
Really?
Yeah, he's a writer over at the Golf Digest. He's been on the show before. He's a fantastic follow. C Powers 14. Got a local dude that's going to be joining me from a golf podcast in Jersey called The Drop that's doing awesome things. Of course, we're going to have Moose, Mays, and Danielle for you. It's Swinging and Ding It. So a lot of Masters conversation coming your way. Do I have a pick? I feel like Rory's got to do it this year.
Really? Out of principle, I can't bet that guy.
I know. Would I bet it? No. But it would not surprise me if Rory's finally able to check that box. He's playing great golf.
Yeah, I've heard, as a casual golf guy who loves tuning in for weekends like the Masters, I've watched Rory choke on Sundays too much. I can't bet the guy. I can't ever actually believe he's going to win a big one. So I don't know I'm going to take it. I like taking some long shots for the Masters.
Yeah, I got your long shot right here, and I don't think he played all that well in Texas, but Akshay Bhatt is my guy. He's my long shot that I'll be firing on.
Literally never even heard of that.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's a big lefty. He can smash it. Damn, did he not even make the cut in this one down there in Texas? That's not good. Anyways, he's a hell of a player. Look, it's a lot of fun, and my schedule is so packed. I'm so mad this weekend. Oh my god.
Well, you're not going to be locked in?
Not going to be able to watch much. I got work. I got to leave. I got a baby shower. I got this. I got that.
Can you get Sunday at 2:00 free?
Nope.
No.
That's my baby shower.
For you or for someone else?
No, it's for me.
I was gonna say,
my little man.
Friends. Yeah,
little man. We got to go up to Scranton for the baby shower. I'm just like, all right.
I guess that's a good
I'll be
reason.
watching it on the phone.
Yep.
So I can't complain.
Yep.
All right, folks, make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're recapping a victory for you out there, Houston and Florida. Good luck on all your plays. Sam, great stuff as always. Luke Arcaney, thank you. I'll be back live tomorrow, 3 p.m. Fox Sports Radio is next. Peace.
This Wednesday, the New York Rangers face off against the Philadelphia Flyers in a must-watch showdown. Catch all the action as Artemi Panarin and the Rangers take on Travis Konechny and the Flyers in a clash packed with playoff implications. It's all happening on Wednesday, April 9th at 7.